Hello, my name is Dide Minal and I'm working as a freelance security expert for the past 5 years. Today, I will present to you my analysis about the security posture of University of Akurana and what can be done in the future to improve it. As an introduction, I want to take you through about the business objectives in this presentation. We know that the University Board wants to have ICO certification. And for this, we have analyzed to develop an information security program to obtain it. What we want for the university is to secure the most valuable assets, prevent security breaches while evaluating the risks, building the trust among the organization, employees and students, and maintain a good information security posture at the end with raising the awareness within the organization. In the last 2 years, we have witnessed major data breaches in well-known universities such as Berkeley and Harvard, targeting all student data. The breaches have also caught media attention since it's fairly surprising that higher education is also being targeted among other industries. This is why we're going to start our analysis in regard of identifying and prioritizing the most valuable assets of the university.
We have identified the information assets under 4 domains: data, infrastructure, network, staff, and students. All domains support and affect each other, but as a crown jewel, we can place the data on top of the security level. As we can also see from the prior incidents, data is the main target of the adversaries. For the data records containing the personal information such as name, birthday records, parental financial data, and most importantly, social security numbers, the organization needs to implement the inventory of assets, the policies controlling ownership, the access rights, and proper storage such as storing the data encrypted. Organization needs to implement the necessary controls and requirements to protect these data, such as implementing firewalls and security checks to protect the network's access to these valuable assets. Secondly, we have the medical records of students and staff. The security rule according to HIPAA compliance that requires covered entities to maintain reasonable and appropriate administrative, technical, and physical safeguards for protecting electronic personal health information. We need to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all electronic personal health information we create, receive, maintain, or transmit, and we need to protect it. Lastly, on financial data side, we have the credit card information of students, financial data, and transactions. We will revisit this topic separately since one of our board members emphasized the importance of this compliance, but for now we need just to remember that the confidentiality of these records are important with proper monitoring, healthy backup procedures, and data retention policy. Let's have a look at the vulnerabilities to identify our risks. In your organization, password policy and authorization system is a vulnerability itself by providing high opportunity for adversaries to break in because passwords are very poor in character length, never changed, and don't contain special characters. Secondly, there is no central patch management. Applying security patches in a timely fashion highly reduces the risk of having a security breach and all the related problems that come with it, like data theft, data loss, reputation issues, or even legal penalties. We consider also the firewall security and access between the zone network structure weak, as there is no mention about any firewalls or demilitarized zones that bring a layered structure for security. As we can also see from the phishing experiment, the awareness of the staff and students is not satisfactory and remains as a vulnerable side of your organization. We can also add here the data kept in personal laptops that is vulnerable to any data theft, which we will recommend to secure in the cloud. Lastly, weakness in incident reporting caught our attention that also needs to be improved and poses right now as a weakness in the university. From Ponemon Institute statistics, we can see an increasing number of breaches into colleges and universities, and the average cost per compromised record in an educational environment as $142 back in 2013. We will take this number as $165 with a slight increase for 2016 and calculate our risk costs accordingly. Here we can also find the average cost to a medium-sized organization for every data breach as roughly $4 million. Here we have listed the most likely 5 risks belonging to the most important assets of your university. First, we have the data breach of personal data of students, alumni, and staff. The risk impact of this is facing legal persecution and loss of public trust due to stealth of personal records. It is highly likely, and it will bring $710,000 cost impact. Secondly, we have the cost of data breach of credit cards, which we calculated 3 times expensive as the prior one due to financial implications and compensation for the victims. It may cost approximately $2,130,000. Thirdly, we have the medical records data breach that will cost again around $710,000. Lastly, we have 2 different kinds of risk. The risk that your data being hijacked by ransomware. This is medium likely, but it's also a rising trend, and it's affecting especially small to medium-sized businesses, which have very low security budgets. Please keep in mind that no business is too small to be hacked. You can always face ransomware, lose your business continuity, and get pressed to pay a fat ransom to release your data. We have put a ballpark number for this from the latest news we found for ransomware, and we find it approximately $2 million per each. So as a result, we have a volume of $7,500,000. But please don't be afraid. All this risk can be reduced or can be transferred. Now we will talk about how we can do that. Here you can see my calculated costs for improving the network security with firewalls, details provided by Cisco hardware. Secondly, you'll have the policy changes, a handbook for security requirements, controls, implementation with an internal awareness campaign with trainings. I estimated this project to be a 3-month implementation with a 6-month communication pack. I also assumed that the university has legacy hardware which will need to be upgraded. I noted a separate item for PCI DSS compliancy controls and recommend to hire a security expert on this topic for a quarter followed by a handover. I also recommend to transfer some risk to the cloud, which will also support mobility of the staff. This can be done with Tresorit or a similar vendor supporting encryption. Lastly, I recommend to hire a security expert and continue the recruitment. In our target costing, in our first year, we have approximately $780,000. But throughout the years, we want to normalize the security budget down to $54,000, which is a recommendation for a minimum for small to medium-sized businesses. My recommendation is to start building your defenses with a reasonable cost and maintaining the gained security posture with minimum cost of operations. But of course, these numbers may vary depending on the growth rate of the university, success in recruitment for IT security experts, and operability of implemented security solution and requirements.
I also want to mention one more safety net. I recommend getting an optional coverage business insurance. According to the Forbes, the following are the types of insurance a small business should have, and they can be all consolidated under an umbrella contract. These types of optional coverage can be costly, but shouldn't be more than between 5 to 15% of your overall budget. You can never be too safe, and you can get a quote instantly online.
Well, my last recommendation is not to miss the human factor in the information security implementation and data security. We will always have firewalls, encryption, and antivirus software in one corner, and in the other corner, we will always have Dave.
As a final wrap-up, we can remember the statistics of rising threats for higher education industry. We need to keep in mind the organization's responsibility to protect the valuable data it possesses. I also listed the most important assets of a Corona university. Please take your time to think about investing 10 to 1 cost of the actual risk volume in the first year building your defenses, and then maintain your improved security posture with a much lower cost in the following years until it becomes a norm in your company culture. Thank you for your valuable time, and I hope to meet you again.